Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Skills and Abilities. Today, we're going to be looking at the assassin finishing move known as Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw is the only claw ability on the tree, the finisher tree. They're actually all kicks. Dragonflight is a kick, Dragon Tail is a kick, Dragon Talon is a kick. Dragon Claw is the only one that is not a kick. So if you want to dish out damage, physical damage with your claws, like specifically with your finisher, you have to use Dragon Claw. That is the only way you are actually going to get the claw damage to actually hit. Dragon Claw is kind of like Zeal a little bit, and it does attack twice, but it also... Sorry, I'm still recovering a little bit from my sickness. Dragon Claw will attack 2 times, but it will only hit the same target twice if there is nobody else nearby. So if you are fighting 2 monsters, it is going to attack one and then the other. So it's like Zeal. It's going to go like donk donk, donk donk. You know, it's not going to just go donk donk. It's going to go donk donk. All right, this is very important. All right, pay attention to the donks. Okay, it goes donk donk, not donk donk. All right, and this means that you're not going to get like as much damage on a single target unless that's the only target nearby. It's also the only ability that uses 2 claws. I know this sounds kind of silly, especially considering the assassin is like known for the ability to use 2 claws, but nothing else on this tree uses 2 claws. Fists of Fire, Claws of Thunder, Blades of Ice, Phoenix Strike, Tiger Strike, Cobra Strike. Like they all seem to just use 1 claw. Like I mean, you can see it. Like when you walk up to a monster, you can see that I only build 1 charge. I can attack this monster, and she only just stabs with like the 1 claw. Now, you'll see her use the other claw from time to time, but it's like she's not actually like attacking with both claws. She's just like ding, or she's like ding, but she never goes like joo, like Wolverine or something, you know, like shing shing. No, she's not. She's not Wolverine. She's not. I don't know if you guys had that was like your thing, and you were like, I want to be Wolverine. No, she doesn't do it, except for with the Dragon Claw. With the Dragon Claw, she does. She does actually attack 2 times, 1 with each claw, and this is her finisher. So if you're using this ability, you can come in here, and you'll see that she actually does attack. You know, 1 2 1 2. She's actually attacking with both claws, which is great. This also means that because she's attacking twice, she will burn 2 charges. 1 for the first claw, and 1 for the second claw. Now, because of the new rune word that they've come out with, that is Mosaic, you can actually have a chance to not burn a charge, which is actually really awesome. Which means that Dragon Claw is actually one of the better abilities to use with the Mosaic rune word, because you can effectively just spam these charges over and over and over again, which is of course what you want. You want to be able to spam the charges. This gives you the ability to utilize 2 charges per attack sequence, and depending on how fast you attack, you could maybe get off more than that within a certain period of time. And you could also potentially be using 2 Mosaic Claws for a total of 50% chance to not consume charges, which is going to give you a pretty large amount of charge spam. But because Dragon Claw actually has physical damage, it actually allows you to utilize your weapons. It's the only one of all of them that can actually allow you to utilize the damage on your claw. So if you have like a particularly good claw, maybe you're using like a Shadow Killer Battle Cestus that's ethereal and has some pretty nice damage numbers, or maybe you're using like a F-Zotted Bartux or something. I don't know what it is specifically that you might have in your hand. If you actually want to hit the target with it and dish out damage, Dragon Claw is the one that's going to allow you to actually smack the target and pump out some DPS. Whether you're doing something like Tiger Strike, or you just want to do some lifesteal from like Cobra Strike or things like that, Dragon Claw definitely has a advantage in that regard when it comes to the ability to actually apply that damage as physical. And it does have the second best spam ability out of the lot. So while Dragon Tail and Dragon Flight are essentially just single kicks, Dragon Claw, of course, is 2 attacks, and Dragon Talon is up to 8 kicks. So while Dragon Talon still wins by miles in terms of like how many kicks per second it can put out, Dragon Claw can still dish out better than Dragon Tail and Dragon Flight in terms of how quickly you can burn the charges. What would you particularly use Dragon Claw with? I mean, it really depends. You could utilize it with Tiger Strike, and it would have some pretty nice effects, increasing the physical damage of your effects, your claws. I mean, if you are using some very nice high damage physical claws, Tiger Strike can be a good accoutrement to Dragon Claw. It's also going to make sure that you land those hits. So, for instance, if I was using Dragon Claw, Tiger Strike with Dragon Claw, it would guarantee those strikes on the target at the very least. So I could go up to a target like this and absolutely burn them to the ground. And that's, of course, because, number one, I'm not allowing those charges to disappear because the mosaics are letting me burn them over and over again. But also just the massive amount of physical damage that's being added to my strikes from the charges. And also the fact that I'm guaranteeing the hits. And this is something that I don't know if I covered, but basically with all finishers now, if you have any charge whatsoever, doesn't matter which one, it will guarantee you the hit while those charges are up. And since Dragon Talon is only a 2-hit move, if you have at the very least 2 charges of any of the charges, even if you're just burning Cobra Strike for extra life and Mana Steel, you will guarantee the hits of the Dragon Claw when you use it, which is of course extremely effective for things like Ubers, or maybe even like Diablo clone or things like that, just simply because they tend to be very difficult to hit, and all you really need to do is build up a couple charges and start wailing away at them. Dragon Claw, of course, as all physical abilities, can apply things like Deadly Strike, Open Wounds, Crushing Blow. You can use chance to cast effects on it. It's pretty open-ended in terms of the way that it works. It is important to note, however, that because it is a dual claw ability, you know, shing shing, got freaking Wolverine claws going on here, it's going to apply the effects for each weapon. So every weapon kind of has different things going on. For instance, the Mosaic rune word here has 3 to 14 cold damage. The 3 to 14 cold damage is only going to apply when you strike with this weapon. It's not going to stack together with the other weapon and apply the 3 to 14 cold damage on each weapon strike. It's only going to apply it when you actually attack with that claw. And that's how the claws work. So there are specific things that will apply to anything. Like, for instance, the 25% chance for finishing moves to not consume charges applies as a general, like, all-purpose thing. It doesn't require you to hit a target for it to work. However, the cold damage does require you to hit a target for it to work. So that only applies when you strike the target. Open Wounds, Crushing Blow, Deadly Strike, if they are on a weapon, will only apply when you attack with that weapon. There are a lot of individual abilities like Prevent Monster Heal, which will only apply when you attack that monster with that weapon. However, there are tons of them that do not, like the plus to skills, the Phoenix Strike, the Fade, the Fist of Fire. Those apply generically. The +2 to martial arts skills, that applies generically. There are definitely going to be things that you can utilize on both, but it's important to note that oftentimes your secondary weapon, if your secondary weapon isn't very good, can be nothing more than a stat stick. You know, put on an extra claw for plus to skills, or, you know, plus to vitality or life or things like that. In fact, a lot of people will put on a second claw, like maybe a battle killer shadow killer battle cestus, which has freezes target on it. The freezes target on the battle killer shadow cestus doesn't work unless you hit the target with that claw. It also has a percent chance to proc Frost Nova, which doesn't work unless you hit the monster with that claw. So having Dragon Claw allows you to actually utilize your second claw and attack a target with those things. It's important to note this, because when you're building an assassin, you got to put this kind of thought into things and be like, okay, well, what do I need in my main hand? What do I need in my offhand? Am I going to be attacking with both claws? If I'm not going to be attacking with my second claw, then I need to make sure that my second claw is utilized for buffs. Or maybe I won't even need a second claw. Maybe I should just use a shield instead. Or maybe I want to build, you know, weapon block, in which case I need to have a second claw. And all of this comes into play with things like Dragon Claw and utilizing two claws at the same time. I think that's pretty much it with this ability. It's a very simple melee ability that applies effects. It's never going to be quite as good as Dragon Talon in terms of its spamminess, but it's better spammy than Dragon Tail and Dragon Flight, which all have their uses also. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, and keep watching.